The reflection in the elevator mirror revealed a well-dressed man in a tailored suit, his dark eyes sharp and calculating. Alexander Knight adjusted his maroon tie with practiced precision. His tired eyes scanned his appearance, the same level of attention he gave to every aspect of his empire. "Mr. Knight, the meeting starts in 5 minutes," Natalie, his assistant, reminded him through the elevator intercom. "I'll be there in 2," he replied, eyes fixed on the digital display showing the 47th floor. The elevator doors slid open, revealing a hallway of sleek marble floors. As he stepped out, Natalie was waiting, holding a sleek black briefcase. Her expression was cautious, as it always was. "What's the matter?" he asked, taking the briefcase and heading toward the conference room. The charity event at the Bright Horizons Orphanage was rescheduled for this afternoon. "The press has been notified, and the council is expecting you there," Natalie informed him. Alexander paused, his thoughts momentarily interrupted by the reminder. "The incident from last month?" he asked, his voice cold. "Yes, the PR team has been handling it, but the orphanage visit is crucial for repairing our image," she replied. 2 hours, not a minute more," Alexander muttered as they entered the boardroom. 2 hours later, Alexander's luxury car glided out of the city's bustling financial district and into the quieter suburban streets. The Bright Horizons Orphanage stood there, a weathered building with history etched into its brick walls. "Welcome, Mr. Knight," greeted Evelyn Green, the orphanage's director. Her handshake was firm, though her eyes betrayed a sense of cautious optimism. She led him through the building's narrow halls, lined with colorful drawings and crafts by the children, the scent of cleaning products mixed with the faint smell of crayons. "The children are thrilled about your visit. We don't often have guests of your caliber," Evelyn remarked as they entered the courtyard. Laughter echoed through the air as a group of kids played nearby. Alexander's eyes scanned the children, but one little girl caught his attention. She had messy pigtails and an air of confidence far beyond her years. "I know you," she said, her voice steady, standing boldly before him. Her blue dress had a small ink stain and her sneakers were untied. Alexander felt a rush of recognition, a feeling he couldn't quite place. I I don't think so," he replied, his voice faltering slightly. "Clara, come here, sweetheart," Evelyn called out, her face turning red in embarrassment. "I apologize, Mr. Knight. Clara has quite an imagination." But Clara wasn't deterred. She stepped closer and tugged at his sleeve. "Your face is in my mom's picture," she insisted, her green eyes staring up at him. The name, Martinez, struck Alexander like a sudden blow. It brought a flood of memories rushing back, memories he had buried long ago. "That's impossible," he murmured, shaking his head as disbelief settled in. But Clara didn't let go. "Come on," she urged, pulling him toward the director's office. "I have something to show you." In the director's office, Alexander sat stiffly in the chair, his fingers tapping rhythmically on the armrest as Evelyn flipped through some files. Clara walked in moments later, holding a worn photo in her hands. "I found this," Clara announced, proudly showing him the photo. It was a picture of a young man with his arm around a vibrant woman with striking green eyes. "Mom always said this was taken when she met true love at university," Clara added, her voice filled with pride. Alexander's breath caught in his throat. The young man in the photo was unmistakably him, 20 years younger, a version of himself he had long since abandoned. He swallowed hard, his voice barely a whisper. "That's impossible. Lucia, she—" Evelyn's expression softened. "Lucia Martinez passed away 3 months ago. Clara's been with us ever since." "Cause of death?" Alexander asked, his voice strained. "Cancer," Evelyn replied quietly. "It was quick. She left Clara with a neighbor while she went through treatment, but she didn't make it. Alexander stared at the photo of Lucia, memories of their time together flooding back. Late nights studying at university, promises made beneath starlit skies. A soft knock on the door interrupted his thoughts, and Clara entered holding another piece of paper. "Look what I found," Clara said excitedly, showing him a letter. It was a letter from Lucia, addressed to Alexander. Alexander hesitated for a moment before unfolding the letter. "Dear Alexander, if you're reading this, I'm no longer here. Clara has your eyes and your heart. I'm not asking for forgiveness for keeping her a secret. We both made choices that night you left. You chose your empire. I chose our daughter. But now I need to ask something. I know you never thought you'd take care of her, not out of guilt, but because she deserves to know the part of you the world doesn't see, the part that still believes in second chances. With love, Lucia." The words hit Alexander like a punch to the gut. He felt his world unraveling, the carefully constructed walls around his emotions crumbling. He put the letter down, his hands trembling. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number. "Natalie, contact the legal department. I need to start the adoption process." The next day, Alexander arrived at the orphanage once more. Clara's face lit up the moment she saw him. She ran towards him, her small hands outstretched. "You came back," Clara exclaimed, throwing her arms around him. Alexander knelt down, holding her tightly. "Of course I did, sweetheart. I promised, didn't I?" Alexander smiled softly, his heart swelling with emotion. Clara's eyes widened. "Most grown-ups break their promises." "I'm not like most grown-ups," Alexander replied, his voice firm. He paused, then added, "How would you like to come home with me?" Clara hesitated, her small hands fidgeting nervously. "Really? You're not going to leave?" Alexander knelt to her height, looking into her eyes with unwavering sincerity. "Never, I promise." A few weeks later, the courtroom was filled with reporters, the media buzzing with excitement over the custody hearing. The case had become a public spectacle, with many questioning Alexander's ability to be a father. As the judge called for Clara to speak, the room fell silent. The little girl stood with confidence, looking directly at the judge. "When my mom was in the hospital, she told me to be brave," Clara said, her voice steady. "She also said that my dad had a big heart, and I think she was right. He's trying to make things right, and that's what good people do." Alexander's throat tightened as he listened. For the first time in his life, he felt vulnerable, but at the same time, resolute. When the judge made the ruling, granting Alexander full custody of Clara, the room erupted in applause. Clara ran to Alexander, throwing herself into his arms. "I knew you would keep your promise," Clara whispered, her voice filled with emotion. Months passed, and life for Alexander and Clara slowly found a new rhythm. Their home on Beacon Hill was filled with laughter, love, and the occasional chaos of a child's boundless energy. Clara's room was painted in soft colors, adorned with daisies, the same flowers Lucia had loved. Alexander had learned to embrace the simple joys of fatherhood, from school drop-offs to brushing Clara's hair. One evening, as they sat under the stars, Alexander found himself telling Clara about her mother. "Your mom loved to read," Alexander began, his voice tinged with nostalgia. "She'd bring books to the library and read aloud to me during our university days. She knew how to make everything feel lighter, even during stressful times." Clara smiled up at him, her eyes shining with curiosity. "Can you tell me a story about her?" Alexander thought for a moment, then began. "There was this one time, during finals week, I was so stressed that I refused to leave the library. Your mom walked in, playing a guitar she didn't even know how to play, and serenaded me until I couldn't stop laughing. It was just what I needed. As time went on, their lives found a new routine. Clara's laughter filled their Beacon Hill home, her energy infusing every corner. Alexander had learned to balance his high-powered career with the joys and responsibilities of fatherhood. One afternoon, Clara rushed into Alexander's office, her face glowing with excitement. "Dad, come see," she called, pulling on his sleeve. Alexander followed her to the kitchen, where she had set up a painting on the table. It was a simple yet beautiful picture of three stick figures under a yellow sun. "This is us," Clara said, beaming with pride. "Mom's the angel up there." Alexander's heart swelled with emotion as he gazed at the picture. "It's beautiful, Clara. Can I keep it in my office?" he asked softly. Clara nodded enthusiastically, her smile bright. "But only if you hang it where everyone can see." Life for Alexander had changed in ways he never imagined. As he adjusted to the role of father, he found himself embracing more of the simple moments: school drop-offs, family dinners, and bedtime stories. One day, as they sat together, Clara asked him about her mother again. "Dad, tell me another story about Mom," she said, looking up at him with hopeful eyes. Alexander thought for a moment, his mind drifting to a cherished memory. "Your mom, she loved surprises. Once she planned a picnic in the park without telling me. We ended up spending the whole day outdoors, laughing and talking about our dreams." Clara giggled. "That sounds like something Mom would do." As the months passed, Alexander's relationship with Clara grew stronger. They continued to build new memories together, the past slowly fading into the background as they focused on the future. One afternoon, as they visited a family friend's house, Clara pointed to a photograph on the wall. It was a picture of Lucia, radiant and full of life. "That's Mom, isn't it?" Clara asked, her voice soft. Alexander smiled warmly, his heart full. "Yes, sweetheart, that's your mom." As they stood together, looking at the photograph, Alexander realized that although the past could never be changed, the future was theirs to shape. And for the first time in years, he felt truly at peace.